Welcome back to the Football Tragics. It's our Christmas special. Well, it's our follow-up to our Christmas special. It's myself, Aaron, and Tony, just the two of us today. How's things, Tony?
Yeah, good. Ate way too much food, and I think I've just woken up about 10 minutes ago, so I'm good to go.
Well, it is the day after Boxing Day for us, but obviously the games we're covering here are the Boxing Day ones. And these ones, they probably gave the 1963 Boxing Day special a run for their money. Have you seen that? It gets shared every year.
I only see it 6 times a year come December every single year, so I think we've all seen it.
Yeah, God, there was a fair few goals and obviously a few games missing as well. So we've already got 7 games to go through. We've got the United one that we'll cover in our preview for Match Week 20 tomorrow. But Tony, I'm going to let you start. You want to go through Around the Grounds, your favourite segment?
As we always do, TFT Around the Grounds. We are staying in England, or England/Germany, because we'll start off with Rafinha to sign for Bayern. Now, it's an interesting one. I think it's a good signing for obviously him. He'll go over. He'll win a few titles. It's obviously a better team than Leeds, but I want to get your thoughts on, does he walk into that team? Obviously, they do dominate, and does he help that team? Like, they've got world-class players. They've been doing all right in England. I know he's an absolute baller, but is he a big fish in a small pond, and is he going to turn into a small fish in a big pond when he gets over there? So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's a big fish in a small pond kind of vibe. I don't know if he does the same thing at Bayern. They've got the likes of Serge Gnabry. They've got Leroy Sané there as well. It's an interesting one. I'm not sure why Bayern's targeting him. He's young. He's a great player, obviously. But I fully expected him to go to a bigger club in England. It's a massive loss for Leeds. There's no secret about that. I don't know where they would go, how they would reimburse the money. I'd hope that, strengthen the whole squad, not just in one position. But yeah, I don't know how he performs at Bayern. It gives me that kind of Mahrez when he first went to City kind of vibes. Took him a little while to get into that team.
If I'm sitting there at Bayern, I'm just saying, it's not that I hate Leeds, but I think Sane is a better player than Rafinha. And they're only 3 years difference. Sane's only 25. It's not that he's 30 and they're looking for a replacement. So obviously an interesting transfer, but
I'm not sure about this one. But look, Bayern, they obviously say something they like in him, and they probably think that this is one of those ones where it will strengthen their overall squad and gives them a chance to get that, I suppose, that Champions League back in Bayern territory, really. But yeah, it's an interesting one.
All right. Well, I've got one more for you. I'll give my opinion second, because he's burnt me a few times over the year. But obviously, it's come out that Martial is set to leave United. He has told the boss that he wants out. Most likely going to happen in January. So obviously, Sevilla are favourites to sign him. Lyon are in the mix, but good move for Martial to head back to France or wherever he ends up, Spain, wherever he's going to end up, or do you think he should have stayed in the Premier League?
It's a long time coming, I think, for him. Unfortunately for him, it just hasn't worked out. We saw what he did in that debut season. They debuted a couple of goals really against Liverpool, and you think that's just him. He's going to go on to be a star, but it's just not worked out for him. I feel from at times because in and making it hard for him, but he hasn't been amazing. He's been kind of underperforming for years now. So I think for him, it's a good move. He needs to get away, and I think he's probably pretty excited to get away. What are your thoughts, being a United fan, on this one?
I think, how do I explain this? I think I've always been his biggest fan. I did have that banter of putting him as my top goal scorer, so I think we can cross that one out, and I've replaced him with Ronaldo. That's the transfer it came in. I think this was his season where if we didn't sign Ronaldo, we could have seen him get back to his best. But with the likes of Ronaldo, Greenwood, Sancho, Rashford, whoever else you want to chuck out there, he's fallen down the pecking order. And unfortunately, that's what it is. So happy to see him go, and we'll save a bit of wages. So that's my thoughts anyway. Did you freeze that?
I'm back. I hope I'm back. Let's continue.
All right.
All
right, we'll jump straight into the games. I'll get the game started because I'm starting it. So we're going to go West Ham to Southampton 3. And if Aaron does drop out, I'm just going to keep talking and go through the games myself. So, Aaron, what were your thoughts on this game?
Well, before this, we've had Campo drop out a few times before, and usually you can get away with it because there's a few of us on. But when it's just me and you, it's not ideal,
I
is
was
it?
trying to figure out if I had frozen or if you had frozen. I just couldn't hear you speaking. So I'm like,
I know, but look, we're doing these live. We're not going to start again because we're 5 minutes in. But look, the weather's not great here. It's pouring down with rain. Let's put it down to that. My internet's been playing up recently. But anyway, let's get into the game. Yeah, absolute cracker. Surprising result. I didn't expect Southampton to come away with 3 points here. I definitely said West Ham to win. I definitely thought West Ham would win. But Southampton, they just took it to them. And every time that West Ham equalised or, went back at them, Southampton were back on the front foot. So massive result for Southampton. Very poor result for West Ham. And they've been average recently. They've not managed to get any sort of form, really. I'm just looking at the ladder now. And yeah, Southampton needed this win more than anything, really. And I think that's probably what drove them over the line. Tony, what do you think then?
All I know is Campo has said they can't back it up after Europe multiple times, and they've won. I said they can't back it up after a cup, and they've lost. So I guess I've got more pull than what Campo has when I call Finn. So obviously, good result for Southampton, massive. It moves them away from that relegation battle. I mean, if any player is watching this and they watch that penalty that Southampton was playing, that's the reward you get for staying on your feet. The initial foul was outside the box. He's continued on. He's tried to stay on his feet, and unfortunately for the West Ham player, he's tripped and taken him out. But I think that's a fair credit. They've got the penalty and they've won the game, not off that penalty, but it's put them back ahead, and it just shows you what you can do if you stay on your feet and you don't play for that foul. So credit to Southampton, and West Ham back to the drawing blocks because they're in some pretty poor form.
Yeah, no, I think you said that spot on there with that penalty. It is credit to see what players who do stay on their feet, they get rewarded. He would have liked to be able to score himself, but look, gets the penalty. What a penalty it was by Ward-Prowse. Not many keepers are saving that. Unless you're knowing exactly where that's going, you're not saving that because that was hit with some venom and his famous golf swing celebration. So our former pod member, Givo, would be happy with this result, and it kind of gives them that little bit of breathing room from that relegation drop, which it's much needed. But West Ham, where's it do for them? They're now into 6th spot. Spurs can go well ahead of them with their 2 games in hand. United, you guys can comfortably jump them as well. They're slipping, and that's not good to see for them. But let's get through the next game, Tony. You're man in the Tyro today, so it's Spurs v Palace.
Tottenham 3, Crystal Palace 0. Kane's back. Is he back? Is this the goal that now spurs him on? They don't have to worry about the Conference League.
I like it.
You like that one? I don't have to worry about the Conference League, obviously. They're going to have a few games to catch up, and if he scores another 2-3 goals and he's back in that hunt, not for the Golden Boot. I think Salah's already well clear. He's won that, but mate, they're a different team under Conte. Like, they're covering more distance. They're flowing better. They're just looking like a team that I don't want to say they didn't trust their old manager, but maybe they've just got a lot more trust in Conte, or he actually knows what he's doing at a club like that. So good win for Tottenham, and battle for the top 4 coming up with those teams around there.
I'll speak on that Harry Kane one. I think it's him turning a leaf. I think that goal last week at Anfield was more against Liverpool at Spurs was more important than this one. I think that was the one that he needed, and then now he's got this is his 3rd goal, I think, in the league this year. So 2 in a row, and that kind of should hopefully push him on now. I'm not sure who they got next week. But yeah, it's massive for him. And like you said, under Conte, they look a different team. I think it's just Conte. He's a winner. He would instill that winning mentality into the team that I don't think Nuno could really do. And players want to play for managers like that. I think Kane has already come out, or not exactly 100% said it, but he's willing to stay now because they've got some sort of winning culture there going in. He's got a good manager. So I think it's turned Spurs around, and they've got 2 games in hand. Sorry, 3 actually. And that can take them right behind Arsenal. Actually, I think it puts them just above Arsenal into 4th spot. So they're well and truly in that 4th battle for 4th there. And yeah, it's just a massive result. Obviously, Wilfred Zaha didn't help the cause. A couple rash yellows within the space of, how long was it? Probably 10, 15 minutes?
Yeah, about 15 minutes. So it doesn't help when you're down already.
And that just shows his attitude problem as a whole and why he's not really succeeded at the top level, I think. He's obviously been at United and didn't perform, didn't get much time there, I suppose. But he's a hothead, and that costs Palace games at times. So good result for Spurs. shocking result for Palace, who, again, haven't really got any form going right now, who they were looking good for a while. But yeah, I think this is a pretty expected result given the way things were going. All right, let's move forward to the next game.
All right, so we've got in the mud Norwich 0, Arsenal 5. I was so close on this. I did call a 6-0 result, but they fell one short. But Aaron, what were your thoughts on the game?
Just comfortable, clinical. It says here, shots on target 6 for Arsenal. They've scored 5 of them. It's just, against Norwich, you need to put your chances away because, like, you guys, you beat them 1-0. Like, it's not... It gives them a chance to get back into the game. And against a team like Norwich, you can't be given... Like, why give them a sniff? Because they're bottom of the table for a reason. So Arsenal, I think they're now hitting their form. They've won 4 in a row now. Yes, most of their results they're picking up are against lower, less teams, but they're into 4th. And until Spurs potentially win those catch-up games, they're staying in 4th. So massive result for them. 5-0. You can't get more emphatic than that, really. You need to score goals. Bukayo Saka scoring, Tierney scoring. I think the only really notable thing is the fact that Aubameyang's still being dropped. And I want to get your thoughts on that, Tony. You would probably agree with me that I think that's his days numbered.
Oh, I think he's done. I said it where I think he's off to Barca or someone like that. And yeah, I think it's good. It shows Arteta's serious. It shows that he's gone in there and he's gone, no, I'm not going to take shit from someone because you're on a decent paycheck or you're a good striker. You don't want to be professional. See you later. And I think that's brilliant by Arteta.
Yeah, well, I suppose the issue they had with Ozil was that the fact that they couldn't get rid of him once he signed that new contract. He was there for how many years? Probably 2. Was he there for maybe 2 years after he signed the contract?
2.5, I think, after he signed the contract.
Paying this guy how much a week, and the same thing could happen to Aubameyang. So I think they need to cut their losses, get rid of him. Barca will probably pay. They might not pay as much for him, but get rid of him while they can. They've got Lacazette there, who I don't think is the best player, but they've got Martinelli coming through, who's showing that he should be number 1. And yeah, what were your thoughts on the game as a whole, though?
Obviously, it's hard to say. I can come in and say Arsenal were brilliant. They won 5-0. They smashed them, but I didn't expect much from Norwich. And as much as it was an out there call, if you can have a team that's clinical when they come against Norwich and can take their chances, like you said, there wasn't many shots. These are the scores we're going to see because they're shocking from defending now. Don't take that away from Arsenal. They had some good ball play. Their link-up was great. The penalty Lacazette won and converted was brilliant. But like I've said once, I've said it again, nothing in attack, nothing in defense, nothing in the midfield. And honestly, if I was in charge, I'm banning them. I'm banning them from the league and saying, here's $20 million, stay in the championship for an extra year. You're not coming back up. Like, it's honestly terrible. Like, surely someone else in that league can do a better. Derby would do a better job. Get them back up here. Get them in here. They'll do a better job.
The funny thing is, though, they're not relegated at this point. They're 3 points behind the drop. Like, they put together a couple good results. Like, what were they, 3 or 4 or 5 games unbeaten for a minute there, and all of a sudden they're kind of thereabouts. Like,
no, you know what? This was Norwich this year are Pookie from that first season. They struggled. They peaked, and it's all downhill after that. They're not coming back from this. I don't see them surviving.
Do you give him any sort of chance with Dean Smith now? You saw, obviously, he put together a few results. So he's only got to compete with the likes of Watford, Leeds, Burnley. There's Everton even. Like, maybe
you're asking me to give them credit. You're bringing Burnley into this that are 1 point clear of them with 3 games in hand on Norwich.
2 over
Their
Norwich.
Closest. Watford have
3. Sorry. Yeah,
Watford have 2 on top of that. So realistically, they could be 6 points, 7 points behind the drop come those catch-ups. So
I've got to ask the question.
I'm putting a line for them. They're getting no credit.
I don't know if we've got any Norwich fans on that listen to the pod. I can't just discredit them. I want to, who knows? But I'm with you.
If we have a Norwich fan that's still listening after I talk shit about him every single week, let's get him on the pod. Let's give him a jersey or something because they deserve it after listening to
we need Norwich fans' thoughts because they probably at this point, I think they're happy to just go back down to the championship and break through it again. It's just a straight swap between them and Fulham every year, isn't it?
Oh, bring Fulham back. Bring some absolute ballers back. Just, I don't know. They're terrible.
Next game because it's an absolute cracker.
All right. Manchester City 6, Leicester City 3. Like you said, absolute cracker. Wow. 9 goals. I'm going to start on this one because take away all the goals, take away City put in 6. This game was 4-0. Leicester brought it back to 4-3 with 28% possession. How does a team in the Premier League have 28% possession, score 3 goals, and then cop 6 and lose the match? Like, that's hideous defending. Obviously, there was 2 penalties. I'm going to go, because there's this game and the next game. The penalty, obviously, that Chelsea got that we'll get into later, the first one. Sterling's penalty, one here. I think they're clear penalties, but if you look back to last week in Liverpool, who initiated the contact? And that's my problem with VAR. One week you give it a penalty, and then one week you just go, we're going to turn that off. And I can give the VAR a bit of shit because Morty's not on here. I'm defending Liverpool, but Morty's not on here. But yeah, that's my issue coming out of this game. Great result for City. They showed fight when they went back to 4-3, but how is one week something a penalty, next week it's not? Like, that's the consistency that we're lacking in the Prem.
Yeah, well, like you said there, 28% possession. They had 8 shots on target, Leicester still, to City's 9. The pass difference, 736 for City, 289 for Leicester. It just shows that you don't need possession. Yes, City got the result here, and so they should have. 4-0 up within, what, was it, half an hour? Yeah, 25 minutes, sorry. They probably made it difficult for themselves, allowing 3 goals just after half-time to get them to make it half, and they ran away with it in the end. But yeah, you can't give Leicester. They're struggling right now, but you've got to give them props, I suppose, for that 15, 20, 25-minute period after halftime. But it's not a 25-minute game. It's a 90-minute game. And City turned it on for probably 60 to 70 of those minutes. And that's enough. And just shows City's clinical at the end of the day. So good result for them. They seem, because they do struggle against Leicester, let's be real. They have recently. So it keeps them top of the table. Leicester, not a great season so far for them. But yeah, those penalties, it's questionable. And I suppose that's the frustrating thing with VAR is it is someone still just deciding for VAR. It's still the ref deciding as well. Like, I don't think it's going to be fixed until it's the same person doing every single game, which just isn't possible.
Well, I'm going to pose a question to you, Aaron. We're talking about Leicester, not the best season. Champions League, out of the question. I think it's early enough to call it. They're not going to get into that top 4 spot. Do you put all your eggs into that Conference League now? Now, it is a guaranteed spot in the Europa League playoffs, I believe it is next year. Do you put all your eggs in that basket and hope that you win it? Or do you try and get into that top 6 and get in Europa League? It's a tough one, but I think I'm leaning more towards let's get 2 or 3 more wins, secure ourselves in the Premier League, and then let's really tackle this Conference League and let's get silverware back in that trophy cabinet. Yeah,
I'm just looking at the ladder now. I'm trying to do the math on how far behind Arsenal. They've got a couple of games in hand over Arsenal in 4th, but they'll still be roughly 8 points, 7 points behind them. And Arsenal's a better team currently. So are Spurs, so are West Ham, United. So 4th is gone. Even I don't think Europa League's good. I can't see them getting that at all. But like you said there, do they put their eggs into the basket for Conference League? Possibly. They look good in Europa until a couple games they couldn't get over the line. But when they put it on in Europa, they look really good. They're probably one of the front runners. So I'm not sure on all the teams. I have to look at who's playing in the Conference League, who dropped down to see who really is their competitors. I know Celtic, I'm pretty sure, is one of them. But
come on, Ange.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they can win the European tournament right now, but I can't see them getting European football unless they do put together a result in the Conference League.
Well, talking about European football, we'll now move on to the current champions of Europe. Aston Villa won, Chelsea 4. I've learned from the best, Aaron. I've learned from you over the years, so I'll let you take this away. It's your team. Give us your thoughts on the match. Give us your thoughts on the comments you're going to get. Chelsea bailed out by penalties. You spoke about it in the inbox. I don't think they'll bail out, but give us your thoughts on the game and the penalties.
Yeah, well, it was an interesting one. Villa actually take it to us all the time. Villa's a tricky game recently. No Steven Gerrard there at the helm, but Villa recently, even the game we played them last time around, Lukaku bagged a double. We won 3-0, but that didn't reflect the game. They gave us a real tough game. Same thing happened here. It started, both teams really wanted the result. They both went out held I don't know, guns blazing, whatever you call it. Reece James, that own goal. There's not much he can do about it. He's just trying to get something on it. I think Mendy reacts a little bit slow for my liking, but I'm not a keeper, so can't say too much. Then we're 1-0 down, but 6 minutes later we get a penalty. It's a Stonewall penalty. I don't think you can have any complaints over this one. Matty Cash he's beaten by his man that runs in behind him. He knows he's running in behind him. Don't know why he's lunging in there. Blatant penalty. Jorginho converts it. And then off the bench, Lukaku, he's back. Much needed. That's why I'm wearing the jersey today, because we wore this one. Much needed from Lukaku. Needed him to get back firing and scoring goals again. And then that third goal, the Jorginho penalty again. It's a penalty. I don't know who can be complaining. I know Campo in one of the inboxes said Lukaku's looking for contact. I don't think he actually is. He gets dragged down. Lukaku's a big man. It's going to take a lot for him to get brought down. So, yes, we've been getting a lot of penalties recently, but if they're not questionable, if that penalty's at the end of the day, what do you expect? I mean, what are your thoughts?
I don't know about you, but I'm wearing this shirt right here, this lovely Italian shirt. So if you can give Jorginho a call and tell him to do that when he pulls on the Italian in March, like when he pulls on an Italian jersey, if you can just let him know that that's how you score a penalty, it'd be great, because that's the reason we're going to the playoffs. So, I mean, I don't have any complaints with those penalties. Again, I go back to consistency, which I think Liverpool should have had a penalty. So on the basis of what I believe, it's a penalty. Both of them were penalties. Yeah. I'd go as far as saying, I know you're not meant to get a red card if it's a penalty, but I don't think the second one on Lukaku, he went for any attempt on the ball. He went to take down Lukaku. And the rule is meant to be, if it's not a footballing challenge, a red card can also be given. So for me, that's a red card. He should be walking up the tunnel. So
I think he sees it as a footballing challenge. And I think you could and I think the player could come out and say, I'm clearly trying to go for the ball, but you're never going to get the ball when Lukaku's a big man. You're not going to get between him and the ball. So, like you said, I agree with you. I agree with myself. It's a penalty. I know a lot of people won't. A lot of people who are salty with Chelsea getting so many penalties, we know Morty is, will like to say it's not a penalty, but they are.
Well, I'm going to give a shout out actually while we're here, because I just remembered. I'm going to give a shout out to the Buicks. Obviously, we went to school with both of them. Ryan and Kendra, they were at the game today. They are Villa fans, so they probably haven't got this far in the podcast. So we'll see how we go. But if you are listening, send us a message. It'd be great to hear from you both. But I think overall, Chelsea showed the class that they had. Bailout penalties, whatever the haters want to say, I think it was fair. But it's a good 3 points for Chelsea, because they've been struggling as of late. And hey, Lukaku's back, goal, assist.
Well, Lukaku's back. It's a much needed result. We couldn't afford to drop points here, especially with. I mean, I know they're still a little way behind, but Arsenal, they're putting together some results. They're creeping up on us. So to let them get anywhere close to us would be not ideal.
Stay in that. You're saying Arsenal. If Spurs win their 3 catch-up games, they're 38, 3 points behind you. So there's no guarantee that you guys are in the top 4 yet. You're only 6 points clear of Arsenal.
No, definitely. I think at this point, you look at that and you say, do Spurs win all 3 catch-up games? I don't know. I think more important this result was for us to stay in with that top 3 shout.
It's Spurs, mate. They're going to lose to Burnley. It's fine. They'll lose to Burnley and they catch up. It's fine.
We couldn't really let City go. What they would have been almost 10 points clear of us, 9 points clear of us. So they're only 7 at this point. 6, which is 2 games. Liverpool, they've got a game in hand, but we couldn't let them go too far ahead of us as well. So it's a much needed result in our form. That's not been great. However, I did see a stat. We've only lost 1 of our last 18, and yet I'm sitting here saying that our form's not been good. And I think a lot of Chelsea fans it's not been good.
It's more so the points you're dropping. Yeah, you're dropping points. You're not losing games. You're dropping points.
Yes, exactly right. But to sit here and say we're not playing well, but we've only lost 1 in the last 18, still very impressive. And I think Tuchel needs credit for that. But yeah, it's a massive result for us. We needed it against a tricky opponent.
All right. Well, we will move on there. We'll move on to the last game played already. Obviously, there is United, Newcastle tomorrow morning, but we'll move on to Brighton 2, Brentford 0. Aaron, are you shocked by this result? Did you think it'd be closer? Did you think Brentford could steal points? What were your thoughts?
I did tip a 1-1 draw. I just had to look back at that. I'm not shocked by this result, no. Brighton at home, I think, was the reason this game was the way it was. I think if this is played at Brentford, it's the same result, but in Brentford's favour. There were similar teams on paper, similar stats looking at the game. I can't say I watched it. I have watched the highlights, of course. But Neil Maupay scoring against his former club. And I don't know if did you see his post-game interview about Brentford. Someone asked, one of the commentators or interviewers, asked him about why didn't you celebrate? And he didn't just say because it's my former club. He said Brentford's that team that gave me the chance when nobody else wanted me. So it's quite touching. So if you haven't seen it, go check it out. But yeah, I think Brighton, it's a good result for them because they hadn't been great for a little while and they're still sitting in 9th right now. So good result for them. Brentford, they're fine. They're thereabouts in the table. What were your thoughts, Tony?
I'll start with first that you brought that up because I forgot to bring it up in the City game. There was a bit of a celebration for Mahrez when he tucked that penalty away, which I was kind of shocked to see.
Does it get to a point where you've played the same team like that you used to play for too many times now to there's no issue if you celebrating? This is Neil Mornpay's probably first time since playing Brentford, but
you're asking the wrong person, mate. I'll take my shirt off if it's the first game I scored against. I'll go and chuck it to the fans and celebrate.
That's what I mean. Mahrez has probably played Leicester how many times since he moved back? Was it 2016 he moved?
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a massive.
I don't see an issue. I think your first 1, maybe 2 games, I think maybe you shouldn't celebrate, depending on your relationship with your former club. But after that, do what you want. Kick corner flags. Take your shirt off, like you said. Do what you want.
But no, overall, I thought this was a good game. Obviously, you did tip the 1-1 draw. I think I went with a slight Brentford win. But if you look at the overall stats of the game, it was 50% possession. There was only a 1-shot difference. It was a close game, and it took, I'm going to give him credit here, an absolute class-born, sorry if I pronounce his name wrong. I'm going to say Mwepu. Is that Mwepu? Mwepu? However you pronounce his name. Puts a cracking ball over the top. Trossard finishes at first touch. That's the goal of the round for me already. I don't care if Ronaldo comes out and scores 6 tomorrow. He's already sewn up the goal of the week for me. So that was a brilliant goal. And obviously, they went on with it and they took their chance and they were up 2-0 at halftime. Obviously, like you said, great hit by Morpay, put it in the back of the net. And they get their first win. And I think, 16 or something crazy like that Premier League game. So fair play to Brighton. Good result. Puts them back towards that middle of the table. And for Brentford, like you said, we're not expecting to make the Europa League. We're expecting to survive. So I think they're still in great position to do that. And I don't think they have any issues when it comes to that relegation battle with the likes of Newcastle, Norwich, Burnley, and even Watford down there. I think they're fine. They're 10 points clear, so I don't see them going down.
Yeah. Well, that is all the games that have been played. We did miss, 3? Is there 3 games that haven't been played?
So you had the 3 games postponed.
Yeah, so no, 2 was it because United play tomorrow?
1, 2, 3.
The first 2
5.
games. No, sorry, Everton got postponed.
6 games. There were 6 games played. Everton got postponed. Leeds got postponed, and whoever the other match was got postponed.
Look, we have Newcastle versus United in the morning. I'm hoping we don't wake up and it's just all of a sudden being canned. I wouldn't be surprised, but I hope not because I want to see Ronaldo score a couple of goals.
Listen, don't do that to me because I'll be in the city tomorrow morning. So I'm getting up at 5:30. So if that game gets called off and I don't get to go into the city and watch the game with the United Supporters Club, I'm going to be very pissed off at 6 a.m. in the morning. So fingers crossed it goes ahead. Fingers crossed we get a win because the last time we were in the city, we got absolutely battered by Manchester City. So fingers crossed this is a happier time. Watch the game, have a bit of breakfast. But, we'll be back tomorrow because we'll be obviously covering the United game. We'll be covering the round that does start tomorrow. So games are coming thick and fast. But, Aaron, any takeaways before we cut it off?
Well, I just want to say, had we have had these extra games that weren't postponed, maybe we would have seen as many goals as the 1963 Boxing Day special. But it's been still a great round. I'm a happy man because Chelsea won. Hopefully you'll be happy man tomorrow when United win. They should win. But like you said, we're going to cover that tomorrow in our preview for Matchday 20. So we will see you again very shortly.
See you later.